episode 217 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded January 10th, 2019. Kids these days. What's up with kids these days, Les?
Kids, these men with their powers
and their angst.
And you know, they're telling Batman to go F himself.
Yeah, and dinosaurs
that they're psychically connected to, running away finally.
Yeah. So this week we're talking about superheroes, specifically teen superheroes for the most part. So we're going to check in with DC Universe's Titans. We're going to check in on DC Universe's Young Justice, which, let's be honest, is half the reason we're doing this episode.
Oh, man, it's so good.
Maybe 75%.
No, spoilers, but we liked it.
Marvel's Runaways gets its season 2 on Hulu.
Yep.
Spoilers, we didn't really like it. And we're going to talk about the DC Elseworlds crossover on CW, which we wanted to wait and save it for this show, but we have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Before we get to all that, though, we are the TV Dudes. There's only 2 of us this week. I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
Grant's not here because he hates all superheroes.
Yep, he really does. He just hates television in general. He's given it up. He's sworn it off.
That's true. And Kyla is not here because he had a traumatic incident with a velociraptor when he was a kid.
Indeed.
And so Runaways is very triggering for him.
Understandable.
Yeah. So we are part of the Electric Sweater Network.
Electric Sweater.
And you can find more podcasts about TV over there. You can find what can you find over there, Les?
There's all sorts of things. There's my podcast, The Good Die Young. There's also what is the Grant Star Trek Discovery Pod?
Discovery Pod is live again. Yes,
that's right. They're talking about all the Discovery shorts.
Plus, Discovery's coming back next week. So
yes, more disco.
And then, of course, you can listen to FemTV, where Melissa talks a variety of female creators of television.
Mm-hmm. Pilot watching with Key and yep.
And this is us with Key and Clyde. Mm-hmm. And yeah, go over to Electric Sweater, check out their content. And if you want to support the TV Dudes, you can go to patreon.com/TV Dudes, throw us $1 an episode, and in response, you will get, for the most weeks, you'll get a bonus episode of content.
Yes, oftentimes about movies or politics or role-playing games or crazy Wikipedia rabbit holes.
Or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We talk a lot about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But you get that, and also you get the joy of supporting your favorite TV podcast. We are your favorite TV podcast,
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah. Also, this is how we managed to not pitch you ZipRecruiter and things like that.
That's true. Yeah, and because we wouldn't really know what to tell you about ZipRecruiter.
I really don't. All I know is from listening to other podcasts that it's a thing.
All right, let's jump into the news. Speaking of superhero TV, the CW's Batwoman TV show has an official pilot and a director. So they've got Ruby Rose is going to be playing Kate Kane, a.k.a. Batwoman, as she did in the crossover.
Yep.
And
didn't they not get Game of Thrones director?
I believe they did. I was looking; they buried the lead here. So David Nutter, who has done Arrow and Flash, along with Carolyn Dries from the Vampire Diaries, is writing the script.
Okay.
So I'm super looking forward to this. I really liked her in Elseworlds.
Yep. Yeah, we'll discuss later. But I enjoyed her in Elseworlds, and am looking forward to what I'm hoping is their transition from Arrow to Gotham being their dark cornerstone of that.
Oh yeah, I didn't consider that. Maybe Arrow will lighten up a little bit.
Or I mean, it's 7 years. Yeah, maybe Arrow moves on.
I don't know. I think he's going to do this for the Supernatural boys are still there.
Stephen Amell's going to do this until he dies.
I think he will. Green Arrow traditionally is an older hero, so as he gets older, it just fits him more and more.
Green Arrow Incorporated.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, as we were a little minute ago, the Game of Thrones prequel has rounded out its main cast, so sounds like that might be happening.
Okay.
Les, I know how excited you are to see more of the Game of Thrones world.
Well, finally I can get into it, when they'll tell me the story before the story.
Everyone loves a good prequel, right? Prequels are...
They always go over great.
Yeah.
I mean, the best Star Wars movies
are all the prequels.
Right?
So this is going to be Naomi Ackie from Star Wars Episode 9, Denise Gow, Jamie Campbell Bower. I don't know any of these names. They all have credits. You've seen them in things. The series itself is going to be set prior to the Game of Thrones. We don't know a lot about this.
I mean, I gathered that part from prequel. That's not like real in-depth reporting.
Yeah, this will say one of those Screen Rant On stories, but they have cast a lot of people.
Purd from Parks and Rec. And now we're going to watch a prequel which takes place before the.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what that is.
I will read you statistics, and they are numbers.
Also in the rumor category, but one I'm more excited about, Sony is apparently considering doing Into the Spider-Verse TV spinoffs.
Oh, anything they want to do with that is fine.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about.
I don't want them to water it down.
I'm worried about them killing the golden goose. They're like, oh, let's see how many eggs we can squeeze out of this thing,
or it looking like Disney television animation versus like a full Disney movie, and this might be like Return of Jafar 2.
Yes, exactly. But they could easily do any number of characters. Screen Rant, of course, is speculating wildly. They have no information, but they've got a lot of speculation about what they might do.
It's obviously a Spider-Ham show.
It's obviously a Spider-Ham show would make a lot of sense.
I can really see them doing a Spider-Ham show. I really want it to be Ghost Spider. Is that Gwen's?
Yeah, Ghost Spider.
Yeah.
Although, what's interesting, she's Ghost Spider in the comics now. They've given her that name.
Because Spider-Gwen is just not what you're going to go by as a superhero name.
But they didn't use it Into the Spider-Verse.
No, I didn't think I caught it in the movie.
Because I think the Ghost Spider name came later. So they were just calling her Spider-Woman.
That's right. She calls herself Spider-Woman.
Which makes sense because Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, it makes sense.
It's only confusing in the comics because of Jessica Drew.
Right. And probably Into the Spider-Verse 2 where they'll introduce Silk and Spider-Woman and all the various other characters.
Oh, man, I really dug into the Spider-Verse.
Wow. Grant really served us a bunch of superhero comic news here. Legion Season 3 has cast a mutant named Switch. Lauren Tsai, I don't know the actress off the top of my head, but I don't know who Switch is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that mutant either.
She's a key part of David's plans for world domination.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Where are you on Legion Season 3 at this point?
I'm ready to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Season 2 was really, really good, and it also creeped me out. It got into some stuff that actually creeps me out. Infectious thought and nervous tics and stuff like that.
Right.
And but overall, I thought it was just a ballsy, crazy, weird Legion season. And I have no idea what Season 3 might be.
I don't either.
And so cool. Let's see what they do. Yeah. I don't know. No one hit me up for money about it, so I'm just waiting. All right.
Netflix has a new trailer for Russian Doll in which Natasha Lyonne dies over and over and over again. We're starting to see this premise a lot. Like Groundhog Day did it, but then like Edge of Tomorrow, there's the new Happy Death Day.
And I loved Happy Death Day, and Happy Death Day to You looks great.
Yeah, it looks fun. I haven't seen Happy Death Day, but I kind of want to.
But yeah, this Groundhog Day premise is coming up more and more. It's turned into like a magical aging, like a Freaky Friday or Freaky Friday. Like it's turned into its own trope.
Right.
And I'm digging it. Like also Natasha Lyonne is awesome.
Yeah.
And anything that she's in is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this. This is another one of those Netflix shows I hadn't heard anything about, and then it's coming out in February.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely give that a look. And finally, Netflix is adapting Shadow and Bone, which is a series from the guy who did Bird Box.
Still not watched Bird Box.
Me neither. It's based on the Grishaverse fantasy books, which is not John Grisham's shared universe. I'm disappointed to learn. By Lee Berdugo. It sounds like a fantasy series. The Grisha have various abilities, sorted into 3 different categories. And the trilogy follows Alina Starkov, who discovers her own unique Grisha power. I don't know what the Grisha powers are because that information is not included in this useless article.
This is going to go in the same category as like The Witcher on things that I am wholly unfamiliar with. And, maybe it'll turn out to be something just that I really enjoy out of nowhere. Like, I realize I'm in the minority on this, but I loved Shannara Chronicles and had no idea what that was about until I started watching the show and was like, oh, it's a book.
Yep. Yeah, there's a fan base for this. I'm not part of it. I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, me either.
But I'm for more fantasy on TV. We haven't got a really great fantasy TV show. Other than, what's that? There's that one that Game of Thrones does.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, that's it.
I heard they're doing a prequel.
right, so we're going to talk about superhero TV this week, and we're going to start with the one we like the least. That is Marvel's Runaways. I'm sorry, Hulu's Marvel's Runaways.
Yes, Marvel's, Hulu's, Netflix's. No.
Marvel's, Hulu's, Brian Vaughn's Runaways.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not even that. Brian Vaughn's not involved, and you can tell.
Well, Brian Vaughn has a really great track record in comics for me and a really bad track record on television for me.
Fair.
I really didn't care for Under the Dome.
No one did.
And then Runaways season 1 was great for 4 or 5 episodes, and then there's the showdown at the pit in season 1.
Yeah.
And that there as a set piece fight, it was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen a bunch of characters do. It was just like a series of stupid decisions in terms of a fight.
Yeah.
And then this weird show of power, and it was literally like from there forward, the show was just dumb. It was like it showed its seams or something, and nothing worked for me after that in season 1. And how much of season 2 did you watch?
So I got 4 episodes in, I think 4 or 5, and I come to this as someone who I actually really enjoyed season 1 of Runaways. I did find toward the end, you guys were disliking it more than me, but I definitely could see your points on some of the fights got a little cheesy. It did feel a little stretched out, and it did feel like it took an entire season for them to basically run away.
And then in season 2, they still aren't committed really to being Runaways. Like if I was gonna blind watch a couple of episodes of this, and then you ask me why it's titled Runaways, it's because of the actually named Runaways project that the church runs.
Right. Yeah.
And the runaways that they're using to fuel Jonah.
Yeah.
Like, I would swear they are the runaways in this.
Yeah.
Because the kids vacillate so much, and the parents are they alternate between like absolute dupes, just stupid adults, to mustache twirling villains. Like Nico's mom Tina is a basically psychopath. In season 2 at least.
Well, at least they gave a reason for that. I mean, her husband says to her at some point, they're like, the staff corrupted you.
Yes. Yeah. Alex's mom has no such excuse.
No, she's just a psycho.
Like, she is a psychopath. Like, she murders a couple of people, or at least one person, in cold blood.
Yeah.
It gets so off the comics, and there's so many weird blind alleys and so many weird plot contrivances. When we talked the other week about Travelers being like collapsing under its own complexity and weight, it at least has time travel as an excuse for why it is this like convoluted.
Sure.
There are various points in season 2 where like I would go get a glass of water and come back in the room and go, wait, how are you 3 people in an alliance now? It started to remind me of like the 5th season of like later seasons of Alias.
Yeah. Where
at any point in time, just by the shared history of the show, if you had 4 characters in a room, 2 of them should be like knives out, stabbing each other. Like, there's no fucking way Sloane and anybody could be in the same room together and not be killing each other. And that's kind of how I feel at Runaways. Of like, you can't sit down with your parents anymore. Like, they're.
The other thing is like it doesn't make any sense to. I understand what they were trying to do. Everybody loves the idea of morally complex characters. That's what Alias were trying to do too. Everyone loves the idea of these morally complex characters and having to make difficult decisions and compromise and that kind of thing. But you have to do that well, or you're not earning it, and they're not earning it. I also understand why you want to give the parents more play. Like in a comic book, you don't have to cast any actors in that role, and therefore they can be basically villainous ciphers for the characters to react. They wanted to deepen the characters a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, you can't still have the kids going back to them. You've got to see 2 different points of view. Yeah.
There's a point late in the season where Chase goes back to his family and he makes a speech to the rest of the kids that when I came here with you guys, I was a child basically, and living with you has matured me. And I'm thinking, you can't make that speech as justification for why you're moving back in with your parents.
Right. Yes.
Like, if that's the case, then you need to announce that we are no longer runaways. I am just an emancipated human adult who lived like I am not a 40-year-old runaway. I live as an adult.
Yeah.
Like that's what he should have announced is like I am no longer a runaway. But instead he uses it as the speech to go back to his family, and it just makes no sense. Like in season 1, his parents shot it. I mean, also during this entire thing, the Pride people are developing weapons to go to full-on war and kill their children.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts. The show wants to be grounded and realistic, but it's a little too lighthearted for any of it to work, and it ends up kind of just being a mess.
That's the thing. They're so embarrassed by the superheroes and their DNA that.
But you have a dinosaur. You have a bioengineered fucking dinosaur.
There's a dinosaur character. There's a
witch, an actual witch.
There's an actual witch. The girl who glows and floats. I mean, there's no reason to be embarrassed about it, and yet there's still all this street clothes stuff and character stuff, and they're just. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Did you see them find the weird mansion?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. That to me, almost all of this season could have happened in season 1.
Yeah.
And this show would have been at least like a barreling ride through craziness.
That's one of the issues too. The pacing is off. I mean, it's 13 episode seasons. They're not doing like 22 at least.
Yeah.
But it's still too long.
It felt so long.
And there's not enough story to sustain it.
Yeah, something you mentioned before we started was that it is just compelling enough that I have to see how this goofy plot bomb resolves.
Yeah,
and it's irritating because it's like it's like watching a bad soap or something. Like I know they're going to resolve it in a way that I find dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the show is the worst thing on television, but it's going to be irritating to me. This is not a show that has solved its problems in a way that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah,
and yet I'm a comic book nerd, and you have a bioengineered dinosaur and a girl who is an alien who flies, and the Church of Gibberish and or Gibborum, and like
no, you were right the first time.
You have a bunch of goofy shit that I would probably watch even if this were like The Sweet Life with Zach and Cody, or something. Like I would still be interested in this crazy ass plot.
And that's the really frustrating thing is I'm in the same boat. Like I know I'm going to finish the season. It's compelling enough that I want to know what happens next, but I also know that every episode there's something that makes me shake my head.
It was a slog through every episode. I ground through this.
Yeah. Well, and it's none of the fault of the actors.
No.
Every actor in this is good.
Everybody's doing their job. There's something really disheveled about the pacing and the plot and everything of it that doesn't click for me.
Yeah.
And I keep finding myself going, oh man, we're going down this alley. I don't want to watch you resolve this over an episode and a half.
Yeah. Well, and the other frustrating thing, of course, the source material is so good. And that they're basically ruining it forever for anyone to ever adapt it properly.
Early on, I assumed that it was because they were trying to unthread the rest of the Marvel Universe from Runaways. Because that was always weird to me whenever they would have to touch the Marvel Universe. And I mean, usually they did it sort of tangentially, like Victor from Avengers AI. Yes, they touched the rest of the Marvel Universe, but that's already an Edge character.
Yeah, no, Victor originated in Runaways.
Oh, okay. Does he start from Runaways?
Yeah, he starts from Runaways. But the other thing is that when they did touch the Marvel Universe, it was usually really like Cloak and Dagger was a great tie-in to the Marvel Universe. And there's a Cloak and Dagger show in Freeform, and it fits in with Runaways. Like that, they were Marvel Runaways. It made sense. But yeah, I think even they had Wolverine show up at some point. It felt a little weird, but the notion of these guys taking place in a superhero universe makes a certain amount of sense. But you could unthread it from Marvel, and it makes sense too.
Like nowhere in this universe does Pride, in the self-contained world of Runaways, does Pride as an organization make sense to me that other adults would put up with and not arrest them. Like the level of autonomy that their corrupt cops have is absurd.
Right.
Like even in a Stallone movie or something, like in the 80s in a Seagal or Von Damme movie in the 90s, the cops would have been more cop-like than this.
Yeah.
Like these are straight mercenary gang members. One of the cops, I believe, is a straight-up ex-gang member.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense because that's Alex Wilder's crazy
and I'm just like, dude, no background check? I mean, I know you're in L.A., but fuck.
Yeah. It's a shame. Yeah. It's a shame it's not either better or worse.
Yes.
Like if it were better, I could enjoy it. If it was worse, I could write it off. But it's just solid enough that I keep watching it.
I feel like there should be one of those good, fast, or cheap pick two, the three like Venn diagram kind of thing. Like there should be something like that for television. Of like, okay, if you speed up the pacing of this, you can keep it exactly the same, but I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Or you can, change. There's an element wrong in the mix here, and it's making the whole thing off.
Yeah, and I think largely it's the plotting. It's what you nailed. Like the characters are good. It's just that none of them act in a way that makes any sense at all, and it's because they want to set up these crazy things and then resolve them, and they're basically creating dumb problems and solving them in dumb ways.
Yes, they keep backtracking and trying to humanize people to keep them on it. It makes the parents look like crazy people whiplashing between all these different points of view. Anyway.
All right. Let's divert over to Titans on DC Universe, which we watched all 11 episodes.
Yes.
And that's all that's available right at the moment. This was a show that when the trailers came out looked god-awful.
It really – and I felt bad for the show in general simply because – there's already a narrative about Warner Brothers DC movies.
Yeah.
And how grimdark awful they've been.
Yeah.
And then that trailer came out and it fed straight into this like pre-show write-off.
Yeah.
Of like, well, fuck Titans then. And I kind of felt bad of like, crap, the show is not going to be set up to dig itself out of that hole.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be I wish they would go back through and cut like 1 minute of blood and 2 violent scenes out of every episode.
So yeah, let's talk about the tone on this, because to me this felt a lot like, I mean, Greg Berlanti's involved. He's one of the 20 producers working on this show.
Yeah. And I kind of want to credit Berlanti with any color pop anywhere.
I do too, and I think that this reads like a CW show if they could curse and have a lot of blood.
Yes.
And that is in no way an improvement.
No, I heard somebody or read somebody say, you know, if you could go back and tell kid me in the 90s that you would get sick of X-Men, like of X-Men comics eventually, or like blood splatter comics eventually, I'd be like, no, you're crazy, and like, nope, I'm tired.
So tired of it. Also,
and maybe this is unfair and just my assumptions on the writing, but I kind of want to lay all that blame at the feet of
Akiva Goldsman. I do too. Well, he wrote probably the worst episode of the season, episode 2.
Yeah,
episode 2 is Hawk and Dove, which. Those characters are good.
Yes, and I love what the actors are doing with Hawk and Dove. We'll talk about them in their follow-up episode, Hank and Dawn, later, which is one of my favorite things in the season.
But it's just – was that the episode? It was either 2 or 3 that I really disliked. Origins. I don't know. There's definitely a couple episodes in there where I'm like, early on.
The opening Robin fight, he drags a guy's face across glass.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, that's too, like, just cut that little scene. Like, it's just a hair too far. That said, my problem with Runaways was that its style was all over. Like, it wanted to be realistic, but it wanted to be goofy or whatever.
Titans is consistent.
And I barreled through these 11 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't love the tone.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we're going to be adult about this means we're going to hide all our superhero-ness.
Yeah.
And Titans never does that.
Yeah.
I feel like early on everybody was really scared that Beast Boy wasn't green in every promo shot.
Yeah.
And that Corey wasn't blazed out orange and green-eyed in every single shot.
I was definitely worried about that look, but in motion it works. And also, whenever they use their powers, their Starfire's dead on.
It's a holy shit power set. I really enjoyed her holding her hand out like, hey, wait, don't shoot at me.
Yeah.
And then, fucks a whole room of people up.
Yeah.
Also, I really enjoyed Beast Boy's I understand why they're limiting the animals he can transform into right now.
Yeah, sure. I get that.
But I also really loved his, I'm willing to fight by you guys, but I've never bit a human.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. And then him really not handling well, worrying if the whole theme of the entire show is, do people see us as as monsters?
Well, and also that these are damaged people.
Yes.
Like all of them are damaged, whether it's Corey's memory loss or the trauma Dick had at Batman's hands, and more on that in a minute because that's one of the big issues I have with the show.
Yeah.
Raven's weird thing, the abuse that Hawk suffered, like all of these are damaged people. Yeah. And the question is whether you can be a damaged person and also a hero.
And I think Donna Troy is basically the only not fucked up person,
unless we just don't know it yet.
But I think it's mostly because she recognized, oh, hey, staying a vigilante that fights crime, this really isn't like a healthy way to solve.
I just quit.
Yeah, I can handle world problems in a way that isn't putting a costume on and beating people's asses.
Yeah,
and I feel like when we'll get into Dick's issues with Batman at the start of the show and why he's really on this season's his journey to becoming Nightwing.
Right.
Because we finally see him get rid of his Robin costume and whatnot.
Right.
But I feel like Dick is wrong about his take on Batman. And in their various ways, everybody kind of tries to point it out to him.
Yeah.
That man, your issues with you and you with Tony Zuko.
Yeah.
Bruce was helping you. Like his mentor when his kids die, I mean when his parents die, that's like, no, you idiot, you are not living with me at the fucking circus.
Yeah.
You are going to go live with the crazy rich dude is going to change your life.
Yeah.
Which, having watched Surviving R. Kelly, I really worry about that now. But
yeah.
But I feel like Dick is wholly wrong about putting this blame on Batman.
Yeah.
That his fear that every time I put the costume on, I get worse and more into solving my shit with violence, and I don't want to become like Bruce, just obsessed with this forever. Like, I think he's selling Batman short.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed that. I see what Dick's going through, and I don't think he's right in his take on it.
Right.
And that it's going to take the team to get him to see that.
My frustration is that I think the guy they've got playing Dick Grayson is fantastic.
Brandon Thwait?
Yeah, he's really good. But I don't want to see a shell-shocked, psychotic Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson has always been the guy who got out of this crazy fucked up situation and is like Batman, but he can smile.
Kinder. Yeah. No, I always took him more of a kinder Batman.
And so this notion of him being so fucked up, whether it was rightly or wrongly, that Batman somehow fucked up his parentage, I'm like, no, Batman was not a bad or abusive parent.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad at this. And I don't love the idea that Dick Grayson comes out this way. And so I get where it fits in the show, and I understand why they did it the way they did, but it was frustrating every time I saw it.
No, I agree. And I think they brought in Jason Todd to try to set Dick back into that position.
Yeah.
But they'd already brought the whole show down to this dark level.
Yeah.
Because he is very much the linchpin of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very much Dick Grayson's story.
And Raven.
Yeah. And his involvement to her. Yeah.
So I like Jason Todd quite a bit.
So when they brought in Jason Todd, I really didn't think I would like a darker Robin on top of what we already were standing there with.
Right.
But man, I fucking loved him. And I loved him for what I did come to like about Dick's story came from Jason explaining it.
Right, yeah.
By Jason looking at him and like, man, you are fucking wrong about Bruce.
Yeah.
And then pointing out there are also a lot of fun comic lines like, you know why we wear this stupid yellow costume, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're bullet targets, man.
Yeah.
Like, Jason Todd's crazy, like, you start to realize that Dick thinks he's like the worst killer in the world.
Yeah.
And then you watch Jason, like, really not give a fuck when he puts the mask on.
Yeah.
And realize, like, man, Dick, you got to let yourself off the hook a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
just
because you learned about a bunch of killer shit and you wanted to kill one dude who killed your family.
Yeah.
You were not the darkest of the dark, man.
Right. Yeah.
And when Jason Todd fucks those cops up, I think was a moment where Dick realized, like, oh shit, that's where the line is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought we crossed the line. Nope, line's over there.
I really like I found Raven to be a boring character a lot of the time. Not in this show, but in comics. Like, I've never thought of her as a strong character. This version of her where she's sort of trying to figure herself out and her dark self is like talking to her and she's very much more tortured. I found it a lot more interesting.
And her genuinely, usually when they keep a character in the dark on their origin, it can be really frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And I like that she is not entirely sure, because this is really the interesting part of me for Raven in the comics. She's not entirely sure if her power set is a blessing or like a world-ending bad thing.
Right, right.
And I always wonder how they're going to get that across. It's way too easy to do. Like I feel like Runaways did. Like, oh, your power has a downside where Molly goes to sleep after she's super strong, but that just kind of goes away after a while.
Right.
Whereas in the first season, it is so inconvenient that she passes out.
Yeah.
Like in fights.
Yeah.
And in the comics, like, that's how I always felt like the downside of Raven's powers only came up when you were about to have a Trigon plot line.
Right.
And I like that this show is just dealing with that from the start, that like her power set can heal people and can do some crazy shit that they really need. But on the other hand, I love that they full on went there and are having Trigon be the big bad for season 2.
I have to say, I hope at some point we get a demonic-looking Trigon, because
you saw his arm come out in the right silhouette, and then he turned into it's not John Hawkes, but it's a very
It's just like I don't want him to just be a dude in a suit.
Yeah, no, I want to see full 3-eyed like crazy Trigon.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't doubt it if they do it, at least in a big fight.
I can see it.
Because the rule seems to be that like they don't walk around in their costume all the time, but they will let it go. That Robin costume, for all my other issues with how violent and bloody some of the stuff is, that Robin costume is awesome.
The Robin costume's great. I also
Hawk and Dove's costumes looked great too.
Hawk and Dove were fantastic. The Hawk and Dove episode, I felt like the Hank and Dawn episode specifically. I felt like as I watched it, I was like, did we really need Hank to have been molested? I understand what they were trying to do to say that basically like it was the damaged people thing, but I'm like, he could have been motivated to do if the coach had tried something or like I didn't need him to have been molested. I felt like that was overly gratuitous.
Well, and it wasn't just it worked for me in that it wasn't just that he was molested; it's that he flatly took that bullet for his brother.
Yeah.
In a way that made his brother
resent him.
For a little, like at least I'm sure while the brother didn't know what was going on for the few years before the brother put it together that Hank did something for me with that creepy coach. He curses him out and sends him home. And it was one of the few times on the show where the cursing, because it is kids cursing. Like it felt right because like you threw fucking in there so that your little brother eyes would pop and he would take you seriously and leave.
Yeah. It's why it's the only time it works, by the way, is because their version of mature, the blood and the swearing, it's adolescent.
It's a Terrence and Phillip joke.
It's adolescent and it drags it down more than elevates it.
But I liked how Alan Ritchson played the that kind of damage on an adult. I thought he did a really great job of being the right line of jealous with Dick and being the right level of frustrated with his intimacy issues with Dawn. And their whole back and forth when he's first in the bathtub after they have a fight and he's like shoots a steroid into his knee and like drinks a beer or something. And for a moment, I assumed she was going to walk in and give him a bunch of shit, and like you realize like no, they're a great couple together. I really came to like Hank and Dawn. I pretty sure I'd watch at least a 3-episode miniseries of.
Oh sure,
especially going back to him taking the bullet for his brother when they were kids. Watching them then bond in this dark shared secret in college and get it's damaging them both. Like there's this rotten secret that they're both keeping. And it helped it really make sense to me why if that happened to you in that combination of circumstances in a world where there was a Batman and Robin, why you might decide specifically to put on a bunch of football pads and shit and go hunt creepers because they specifically are going after kid touchers.
I understand. I mean, it definitely
helped
worked.
It all. It was one of the things on the show that I didn't necessarily like the through line they picked, but they sewed it all up really, really well for me.
I feel like, as with so many things on this, I feel like they basically pushed it a little further than they needed to push it.
That's almost everything on here. Like I would hope on season 2 that they would, where we wanted Runaways to commit to something and kick the dial up to 11. I want them to dial it back from 12.
I agree.
Can y'all set Titans at 10 or 10 and a half, please, from here?
I hope that Donna Troy is the regular because I love Donna Troy.
She was friggin' great. Was great. Connor Leslie, I believe is her name. She was great. And I loved the difference you get to see in the childhood flashbacks when they're discussing being a ward of Batman versus being a ward of Wonder Woman. And this like – not that Batman's the worst in the world, but like that's definitely different parenting. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then the Doom Patrol episode. Doom Patrol setup. I'm glad they're swapping chiefs.
Yeah, me too, because that guy was not good.
No, and otherwise, I know there are some other changes. It's still going to be Negative Man, which he was great. The whole dance scene,
great.
And it's going to be Robot Man. With Fraser.
Brendan Fraser's great as Robot Man.
And they're going to have Elastigirl. And I believe.
And Cyborg. They're adding Cyborg.
They're adding Cyborg.
Which kind of makes sense.
But it's so strange to me.
It is. He's a Titan.
And he's in the big screen on Justice League.
Yeah.
It's going to be confusing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this shit's not confusing for people.
But given the Doom Patrol is so about the sort of slight tweak in that the Chief basically collects freaks and tries to fix them.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great tweak.
Yeah. Do you remember Misfits of Science?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping from Doom Patrol.
Yeah. Well, that episode was probably my favorite episode, and gives me a lot of hope about that series. I'm really looking forward to that series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to whatever they do with Swamp Thing. Felix from Westworld, that actor just got added to Swamp Thing.
Oh, cool.
They
got Ian Ziering playing Blue Devil, which is amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then there's the final episode, which is a big extended dream sequence in Gotham.
Yeah, and normally I hate dream sequences, but I was really thrilled that this one was, simply because, like I was saying earlier, I feel like so much of this is Dick's wrongful blaming of Batman for his own bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it worked for me to have them I have a bunch of Titans comics at home from just years and years of comic collecting, and I believe it was Jericho, the guy that could possess.
Yeah.
There's one where he half possesses Dick enough to get him to shoot himself up with LSD, and then has a whole episode of just breaking Dick. And taking him fully over. And that's kind of what this reminded me of like Trigon's just walking him through the like, oh, hey, you're almost at a breaking point. Why don't we just walk you all the way there?
Right.
And the only main problem I had with it is that it absolutely did not feel like a season finale.
No, it didn't. It definitely felt like not even a mid-season.
No, it felt like
where's the next episode?
Yes, how did this stop? I mean, I'm so glad they already have a season 2 because I've been furious if that had been the stop.
Oh yeah. But overall, I'm frustrated by Titans because I want to like it more than I do, and mostly I feel like if they could if they could get Akiva Goldsman out of there, that would help a lot.
Yeah.
And if they could clean up there's no need for them to be cursing. And I love cursing. Yeah. But it doesn't belong here.
Yeah. I mean, I realize I swear more than the average bear, but yeah, they curse enough that I notice it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's out of place. It feels forced.
Yeah.
All right.
That said, I enjoyed Titans way more than I expected to.
Sure.
Even though every episode there were a couple times where I went,
yeah, me too. And I'll for sure watch more.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for more.
So let's jump back over before we talk the other DC Universe show. Let's talk back over to the Elseworlds crossover that happened.
Yes,
3 episodes across Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl.
Yes, they left Legends of Tomorrow largely out of it. Yeah. I think there's like a passing nod.
There's a reference or something.
Which their standalone episode that week was friggin' awesome. Legends of to Meow Meow. But Elseworlds crossover is, I don't know about you, this was my favorite of the crossovers they've tried so far.
Me too.
I feel like they are dialing it in better and better.
I agree.
And it gives me great hope for what they'll pull off next year.
Yeah. Well, I think we all kind of assumed this was going to be their crisis. Like they had the red skies and then we had the Monitor.
And I was honestly worried that they were going to try to start to finish introduce the multiverse. I mean, not introduce the multiverse. They've clearly done that. But I was really afraid they were going to try and do all of Crisis in just 3 episodes. Yeah. And it really needs to be the 2-part.
Instead, this is the prologue. And so
they can have weird little I really hope that they dribble weird little shit in through the whole year.
I hope so too. I won't know because I only watch the crossovers at this point. But
I'll keep you informed.
I didn't feel like I had to jump back. I didn't feel I was missing anything. Like I feel like they did a good job of keeping people informed. But so many little Easter eggs. Their Monitor was great.
Yes.
Their Dr. Destiny that they got Jeremy Davies to play him. Like that was a great touch. I really liked that basically they start off with one shaped reality and they keep changing the realities.
Yeah. Yeah, they keep messing with it. The whole like not murder twins, but
Trigger Twins. Man.
It was so great.
Also, the having Barry and Ollie switch powers and switch like a little bit of personality and a little bit of world. Like the two of them have been the anchor of this universe for so long, and they work really well. It is the Batman Superman. It's the world's finest thing, and so
yes,
and so like Barry, little things like Barry getting to shoot Ollie with
when
arrows.
He shoots him in the back, and he's
like, that's what that feels like.
Great,
yeah.
There's so many nice little touches like that.
That was all really, really good. I loved all of that. I liked them basically having to convince their friends and family the sort of power of love thing that they could get their loved ones to see through, even though there's no sane reason they would. Like, I really liked all of that.
Yeah.
And then they bring in Supergirl and Superman, and they did the Smallville song, which was a great little nod.
Yes.
And this introduced their Lois Lane,
and
I
their
guess.
Lois. And I loved their Lois Lane.
Their Lois is great.
She is perfect. The whole, like, I don't know about you, Smallville, but I'm going to the other planet. I'm going to the parallel universe.
Yeah.
Like, you could stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
I love her. I continue to love Tyler Hoechlin's Superman.
Every minute he spends on screen, I like him a little more as Superman. I mean, I liked him when they first introduced him, but I thought he's a little skinny. He's kind of Superboyish.
Yeah.
No, I really dig him now. And I hate the notched collar in the comics.
Yeah.
But the black suit they put on Jeremy Davies' evil Superman really works for me in the show.
Yeah. Well, it works for an evil Superman.
Yeah.
It looks more fascistic.
Yeah.
It works on that version.
But overall, I heard somebody say if they're going to do Crisis that they should kill off their universe as Superman and not Supergirl.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
And that's probably I think
that's possibly what they're
going to do.
Well, because also the question is, will they merge the universes? Will Supergirl be in the Flash and Green Arrow universe now?
I wonder if they'll also take this opportunity to be what breaches into Black Lightning.
I was wondering that too. I mean, Black Lightning is so different tonally, but
it is, but
it'd be so cool
if they even if it was just a passing. The hell is that?
Yeah, that's all I want. Just a little nod.
That's it. They don't ever have to touch on it again. Honestly,
but we saw basically their version of the Justice League throw down with the Mazo because they have enough characters to build a team now.
And so for what worked best for me in this crossover was that each episode had its own really cool little standalone thing.
Yep.
The whole Amazo fight was fantastic.
Really
and
good.
I did not expect it at all.
Yeah.
And yet it didn't get in the way. It actually was helped set up the overall Dr. Destiny kind of plot.
Yeah, for sure. Also, then we meet, as we referred to earlier, Batwoman.
Yes.
And I loved their Batwoman.
I'm not the world's best. Ruby Rose is an okay actress for me. I haven't ever seen her really knock it out of the park for me in a role. John Wick 2, I think, being my favorite thing she's done.
Right.
But she was great in this.
She's great here. And
I love their Gotham. I love Ollie being flat freaked out by their Gotham.
Yes. I also love little things like that they just say, Bruce, we don't know where Bruce is.
Yeah.
He's just gone.
Like he left.
And she's like, and as a result, Gotham needed a protector and she took up the role and it all just makes perfect sense. I love that she is basically Batman. She get out of my city. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, she's straight up Batman.
And I also love that they had her and Supergirl kind of bond. Mm-hmm. That's a
now that'll be a fun World's Finest.
Oh man, that was so good.
Yeah.
So I loved their Batwoman. I love the way they used her. I love the way they introduced her, and I'm glad they're doing more of her because I thought she was just fantastic.
Yeah, I think she's going to be great. I'm glad they did a pilot order. I hope that they will make a season of this.
Yeah,
please.
And then going to the finale, I loved Ollie facing off with the Monitor.
Yeah.
Like he goes in this big space chamber and he yells at the Monitor, and that's how things get solved.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just great. I think it just calls him on his bullshit. I think you are looking for a test that you're willfully not seeing the solution to.
Yeah.
And that it was for being a comic book nerd, realizing at some point, oh shit, you guys are setting up Crisis.
Yeah.
Across the 3 nights, seeing articles online of are they going to do Crisis? I'm like, of course they're doing Crisis. Are you watching the same setup I'm watching? This is the setup for Crisis.
Yeah.
If the Monitor's here with a book, yes.
Yeah.
I just kept waiting for Harbinger or somebody to show up, but they're not going to quite do it like that.
But I can't wait to see. I'm wondering if they do a time jump because we've had a reference to 2024, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Crisis.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's still not going to be watching the shows on a regular. I don't have time for 4 superhero shows. So
yeah, I can't keep up with Arrow. It's just too.
But I do love dipping into it every now and then and seeing what their latest Harry Wells is.
Yes.
This one's a crazy Frenchman, apparently.
Yes, Sherlock.
Oh, God. I loved it.
Yeah, he's freaking
so
awesome.
much fun.
I love all the Wells. I hope he directed the 100th episode, I think.
Okay.
So I really hope that that actor never, ever leaves.
Yeah, me too. Well, are they on their 4th or 5th Wells at this point?
Over 5. It's got to be the 5th.
Yeah, I feel like it has too. All right. Let's jump over to what was absolutely our favorite of the shows we watched this week.
Oh, man.
And that is Young Justice Season 3.
Back after how long a hiatus?
It's been, I don't know how long.
5 years?
At least. Yeah.
And to hit the ground, I I would swear that they put the entire band back together, animators and all. It looks just right.
Yeah, I almost feel like the animation's improved since Judges, and I almost feel like the animation is a little old, like it looks a little old, but I love that it looks exactly like it did when it went off the air.
Yeah, going straight out of the in-game episode of the end of season 2 and into the Outsiders episode 1, it flows seamlessly. It is exactly the same show.
Yeah.
Plus, I love that they're doing Outsiders. That is one of my favorite things in comics, and the entire Batman Incorporated break off from the Justice League that they're doing, that they actually call it that, even was cool.
Yeah. Well, and they're doing their version of the Outsiders. This is what Greg Weisman and the other people on Young Justice have always done. Is they've taken they take the comic book stories. They do what the MCU does so well. They take the comic book stories. They take what works. They make nods, but they're telling their own story. Yeah. And the notion of basically turning metahuman trafficking into a story that's sort of allegorical about sex trafficking. Yeah. That's fantastic.
And to use it to I love is it Geoforce?
Geoforce, yeah.
And so they're setting him up. Black Lightning.
The Black Lightning stories.
Oh, I mean, man, that was brutal.
Young Justice is doing the same dark. It's as dark, or if not darker, than Titans. Yeah, because they're a cartoon.
So waiting for Titans to come out, I rewatched and Young Justice. I rewatched Young Justice season 2. Yeah, and then I went back and watched season 1 because it's fun, but it's a lot more episodic. Yeah. And I'm watching season 2. I remember thinking this is dark as fuck. Yeah. If this were not animated in a cartoon, so that it doesn't. So Titans has added by turning this real, Titans took inadvertently turned overtly, I'm sure. Yeah. Turned the dark down. Yeah. 2 or 3 notches by making it real flesh and blood people. Yeah. But really they're kind of the same cloth. Yeah. In terms of how brutally seriously they take these storylines without ever backing off costumes or powers.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
In fact, we didn't really talk about the stinger on Titans.
Oh yeah.
Which like everything else in Titans requires you to sigh a couple times, while also being excited they are introducing Cadmus and some other stuff that you're going to absolutely love.
Yeah, yeah.
I just hope there's a giant fucking wolf.
The opening of this with Aqualad being Aquaman now.
Oh, he looks
and
so
the head
good
of the
in
Justice League.
Too.
Yeah, and the orchestrated walkout that Batman has planned, that Green Arrow is on board with, that I love, by the way, that Hardware is on board with. They brought into the milestone. Of course he would leave.
Yes. Because they'd already brought in Icon, so I'm glad they brought in Hardware. And I love Black Lightning's I'm not with them, but I was leaving too. Yeah. Just to be clear.
Well, and I love Green Arrow and Black Canary having come. It's just you didn't tell me? Yeah. I'm not going with you. Are you crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. I loved how that played out. Each of these 3 episodes ends with a Twin Peaks level credit cut and ominous music. Yeah. Where I was sitting there oh my God, what fucking show is this? Yeah. I'm so glad they're dropping 3 at a time, so I get an hour and a half of this a week.
Me too. I would have been really frustrated waiting for more, and I can't wait for 3 more episodes. I'm so excited.
I don't know the character's name. The girl who keeps dying.
Oh yeah, so that is Halo.
Oh man,
from the Outsiders.
She's fantastic. Okay,
they remade her as a Quiraki citizen. Okay, who her power is to she doesn't die. Yeah. She keeps going, and that's a great thing. We're going to see Katana. She was in the trailer. Yes. So all the we're going to see Metamorpho.
Yeah, I know Metamorpho from the trailer.
We're going to see the full on Outsiders.
I think I told you this online when I first started watching it. Holy shit, this is so good. When I finished those 3, I clicked through because they have placeholder images and little locks on all the future episodes. I honestly don't remember the last time I saw that there were going to be 26 episodes of something in a season and was happy.
Same. I had the same reaction. I was like, oh, thank God there's 26 episodes of this.
Thank God there are 26 of these. I never feel that way. Not sitcoms, nothing. You were going to fuck the pacing up. I don't feel like they will. This is going to be absolutely amazing.
By the way, the use of Apocalypse too.
Yes.
This is how they've always done in Young Justice, the Reach and the alien invasion subplot. It was called Invasion, but we didn't really see the invasion until midway through. No. It was slowly laced in.
And we didn't see Apocalypse. We didn't see Darkseid until the stinger at the end of the second season when Vandal Savage, after you think, and it was such a baller Vandal Savage move. Yeah. I felt captured that character so well that they've defeated everything in the Reach and blah, 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 and you think it's all one from season 2, and Savage shakes hand with Darkseid of well, that plan went as business as usual. Yeah. And that they kick season 3 off with Dick handing it off to Aqualad, now Aquaman, and leaving, and he gets the same line. I was like, class act.
Yeah.
Just class act picking that show up.
Yeah. And we see a little bit of Apocalypse in the background. Mm-hmm. We see that that's where the war is getting. So the plasmises are being sent, which is another great nod.
Yeah. But, especially mutating that a little kid.
Yeah, a little kid. But
man,
we're just seeing a little bit of it right now because the story is so focused on the.
But same as Invasion, it's got that like malicious, like quick and hard like intro.
Yeah.
That does Earth Apocalypse.
Yeah.
In Outsiders, and that's it.
There's so much promise. Yeah. Also, I love the political stuff they're doing here.
Yeah, the whole Markovia thing.
Markovia, Vlatava. I think they mentioned Bialia.
Yes.
The Queen Bee and stuff like.
Yes.
So like all the different, and of course Koraki. The notion of making Korak a place where they're sending refugees. So Korak is their Syria, which Korak has stood in for. Iraq, Iran, anything in the Middle East. So using that to work on the Syrians and having the Markovians royalty come out and say, we're not turning anybody away. What's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. And I love the sort of the political aspects of this too. And it's fake countries, but mapped onto sort of real stuff and done really, really. Also, Young Justice, I remember when they first pitched this, it was they're using the kids as like the covert arm of the Justice League. And I was like, that's a little weird. That's a little dark. And now I absolutely love it. These kids have grown up being shadow ops, and now they run their own.
Part of what I kept coming back to in Titans as Dick was wrestling with having been trained by Batman was thinking about in Young Justice. There's, I believe, a scene where the Justice League, like the rest of the league, rips into Batman. Of like, look, just because you're fucked up enough to think that it's right to train a 13-year-old like this, doesn't mean the rest of us are okay with it's their entire argument of why they are not ready to be Justice League, and they alter it. You can tell like it's this weird unspoken like, hey Bats, we never bring it up, but no, we are not training children, man. That's your weird thing. And I kept kind of thinking about that in Titans. Something I meant to mention in Titans was just how they thoroughly keep Robin's fighting style scary. So that he hardly ever puts the suit on, but when he does, he freaks the rest of the group out. And so that I had 3 or 4 moments of like, oh, that's right. Batman trained you. Everyone else learned to fight. Good for you. You learned kung fu. I was trained by Batman. And so I kept coming back to that in Titans was that from Young Justice of them kind of giving him shit because it's Batman that's been using them as like a shadow fighting squad, and it's I assume Batman who's just broke away from the League, who is about to. It's not just a humanitarian crisis with refugees; they are also an arms race, with powered metas,
right?
And well, Batman's about to take a bunch of refugee-powered metas, and make a friggin' freedom fighter squad out of it, Like Batman's terrorist cell is fucking scary.
Well, we've had 3 seasons now, so we've built up like the relationship between Connor and Aqualad and Superboy and Wonder Girl and all that is there.
And Connor proposes to Miss Martian in the first 3. So good. Because you had a time jump. These are adults. I love them not wanting to go back to some of this. Like man, I don't really want to fight this all the time anymore.
I love that too. Also, who's Oracle? Because Batgirl's still on the Young Justice team.
Yep.
So I want to know who Oracle is.
And what happened in the 2 years intervening?
Dying to know.
Are they going to flash back to?
I don't know.
Some kind of thing happening that lands her in that.
But you don't do Oracle without telling that story.
No, you got to explain.
I cannot wait to see.
I got 26 episodes.
Their interpretation of it. There's so much. The one thing that Invasion really did was added so many characters to this. It was kind of like the big Morrison, everybody's in the Justice League kind of thing.
And brought in so much Blue Beetle.
So they've got so many characters they can explore, and they always make use of that. Like I would watch 100 episodes of this because I would love to see a few episodes of Rocket and Icon teaming up. Like they're basically background characters. I would love to see more of almost all these characters.
They use the hell out of Superboy's cycle sphere thing. But when that thing got introduced in season 1, they did an episode where they just nonchalantly brought a bunch of new gods.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, whatever. That's apocalypse technology. We're just gonna let that lie for a little while.
Right.
I mean, everybody's using boom tubes nonchalant everywhere, but
Right. Yeah. The boom tubes are everywhere.
I'm so happy with how this came back. I mean, oftentimes you get really excited about, hey, they're bringing back a thing I loved, and it's just fan service, or it doesn't like. This is really good. If you ever liked Young Justice, it is back in full form.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We're always looking for the revival to be as good as the show that came before, and we're always looking for the example of it. Hey, what was the revival that was as good as the show? This is it.
I'd swear they just hit pause.
This is it.
And then picked it right back up.
Yeah. It's every bit as good as it was, if not better.
And there'll be 3 more out tomorrow, and I will watch them immediately, and then I will wait 7 days.
Yes. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's not disappointing in the least. It's so good.
Yeah. 26 episodes of it. I would pay for DC Universe just for that, and the Brave and Bold and Justice League Unlimited stuff.
Yeah, me too. This was the thing that was going to get me on board DC Universe, and I'm not at all disappointed about All right, so it's time for dessert, guys. It's time for questions, and
questions
every week. Questions with whipped cream, or ice cream, depending on what part of the country you're in.
Yeah.
So every week I throw up a post on Facebook, and we talk about what we're going to watch, and we ask you guys to send in questions, and if you do that, we might answer them. So we're going to start with Alec Miracle, who says, "Dudes, first of all, hi Grant." Grant's not here. This is
Grant's
awkward.
not here. Grant's not here, dude.
He says hi back. Ozark features a purple color palette. The Haunting of Hill House features a gray color palette. I think.
And one red door.
I have the most pressing question you will ever be asked. You must all answer this question because it's important to me and my colorblind self. Are you ready? Here goes. What is your favorite color?
I could just make a color up. He can't prove it. My color is squoosh. It's the best color.
I don't have a favorite color.
Blue. Blue is my favorite color.
Blue's I don't have a favorite color. Like the cliche is black. Like I like wearing black clothes because they make me look less fat. But I don't have a favorite color.
You never had to do the shut your eyes and picture a calm room. What color are the walls kind of thing?
I probably should, but I never have.
They're just like an eggshell satin.
Yeah, ecru. Bone. Yeah. No, I don't have a favorite color, and I get that question, and I like all colors equally. I don't like choosing colors. That's what's wrong.
The blood of my enemies.
Zach McLernan says, Q from Star Trek has traveler-style transported you into the body of a red shirt on Star Trek Discovery. You are literally about to transport down to the surface of a potentially dangerous world with the cast of If It's Always Sunny and the 4 main characters from You're the Worst. As you reach the planet, you lose contact with the Discovery, and you learn that when night falls, countless vicious and hungry aliens will descend on you and the away team. A small abandoned outpost waits beyond, as well as a forested oasis with a defensible cave. You and the away team have only one medical kit, and each have a phaser with only 5 shots. The Discovery will be able to beam you up at daybreak. What do you do, and who do you think will make it out alive? I feel like this is a word problem. Like, they just gave us a math problem to do. There's a lot of math in there.
I think the best chance of surviving is going to be Edgar, Charlie, and Frank. Those are the 3. Edgar's got actual military training.
It's true.
Charlie's a wild card, and Frank is just wily. I think Frank's got a red shirt guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say that the first thing to do would be
kill those 3.
That or announce an alliance with them.
Yes.
And shoot Mac, D, and Dennis, as well as Gretchen and shoot literally everyone but those 3 people.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And announce that you are all now in alliance. You need to go find the cave. Gather all of the other – because now you have a bunch of shots from a bunch of phasers.
It's true.
Yeah.
I definitely
no one else from those shows would blame you for taking the shots at them even if you missed.
Lindsay for sure. I love that character. I love
She'll
that actress.
kill you all in the cave just for talking.
But I would absolutely, you'd shoot her first, or something bad is going to happen to all of you.
You're going to back into a knife in that cave.
Like really, almost worse than Dennis. Like you definitely want to get Lindsay first.
Yeah.
Lindsay, then Dennis.
Dennis is going to talk about killing you in your sleep for a year before he does it.
That's
Lindsay
true.
will have you dead.
Yeah, Lindsay, then Dennis, then Mac.
Yeah.
Sweet D, because she'll do it clumsily. Gretchen for the same reason. Jimmy, because Jimmy's of no use to anyone.
Yeah. Jimmy will probably get himself killed.
And probably Frank, just because Frank would definitely kill you all in your sleep.
If Frank could sell you all to the monsters,
yeah,
Frank
he would
do that.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. And he'll
Charlie
try.
and Edgar are going to be the only two people that might actually like help you get out of this.
Yeah. And you never know with Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Charlie's plans have a 50-50 shot of setting the cave on fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a wild card.
Anyway, that was quite the interesting conundrum, Zach. I hope you were happy with that answer. Michael Gustini says, Happy New Year, dudes. So Titans Season 1 was an unstructured mess. There's no getting around that fact. I think you and I would both kind of disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had problems, but I don't think
Unstructured
wasn't one of them. I felt like it very evenly went through each character.
Yet there were moments throughout where I could see the glimmers of a good show.
I'll give you that.
These moments often were completely separate from the main story and team, and usually involved Dick pairing up with another character like Donna Troy or Jason Todd. I do think he's right on that.
Yep.
I think those pairings were the strongest, but I actually thought the Rachel Dick pairing was good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. Honestly, I really liked a lot of the character development on the show. I wish they would dial the blood back up 2 notches.
By the way, it just occurred to me that if anyone wanted to cut out some out of context stuff, we've said Dick a lot on this show.
I know it's hard.
It's hard to talk about Dick.
It's hard to talk about Dick.
Which side surround Titans would you dudes rather follow than the boring, slow-moving plot we actually have, and how would you fix the plot for Season 2? That's a tough question because I don't think either of us agree with the premise entirely.
Yeah, I didn't find it boring or slow moving.
Me neither.
It really good to clip along. If anything, I needed a couple more episodes to fully establish where the team is. I wanted to see him open a case with a Nightwing suit.
Yeah,
as the tease into season 2. Like Trigon's there, he has a Nightwing suit.
Yeah,
and the team is together, and like that was kind of where I wanted them to wrap it. And I felt like there was an episode or 2 missing.
I would have liked Cyborg, to be honest.
Yes.
I feel like they're missing Cyborg.
And they are – I really can't believe that they didn't then introduce him since he's going to be on Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
It's part of why I finished episode 11 and went, that can't be the finale.
I kind of wonder if they're going to introduce him in Doom Patrol and then move him over to Titans.
Maybe.
I mean, they did that with Gar, sort of.
That's exactly how Gar got there.
But as far as like how I would fix the plot for Season 2, what I would fix in Season 2, I want Devil Trigon. I want less blood and less cursing. I'm not going to get any of that stuff. Probably.
No, probably not. I mean, you have a better shot at getting Devil Trigon.
Yes, that's most likely.
Either of those other 2 things.
Yeah.
Unless like Goldsmith actually like passes away or something.
Yes, or runs off to write some of their terrible movie.
True.
Gustini also says, hey, when are you going to check out the last season of a series of unfortunate events? It was a spectacular season and one of the best endings to a series I've ever seen. I didn't finish season 2.
That show. I never got into season 1. There's something about it. I just never clicked with season 1. I don't know if it's that I hate children or what.
I like it. I think it's well done, and I think Neil Patrick Harris is amazing in it.
Or Patrick Warburton?
No, both.
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah, both. Yeah. No, everything about it is great on paper, and it's just lifeless to me.
And yet, I got halfway through season 2 and realized I didn't care.
Yeah, there's something. There's just not exciting for me, and they're like Tim Burton movies now or something. Like I just don't care.
Yeah, it just didn't quite work for me. Jonathan Huffnagel has an extended question. A new round of TV character super fight, which is too long to go into this week, but we are going to save it.
It looks amazing.
We're going to save it for Patreon for next week, Jonathan. So thank you for that. Dennis McElwain wants to know: the big CW crossover every year is great, but how much greater would it be if the individual shows had fewer episodes and more money for the crossovers?
That would probably improve a lot of things across all those shows.
If they were doing like 13 or 10 episodes, I would still be watching all those shows.
Yeah, even if they just cut it to like 18, because I think they're each doing like 20-something episodes, right? Yeah.
Also, I do feel like Crisis is going to have to be more than 3 episodes.
They're going to have to bring everybody in. Like take over the CW for a week. Just do it.
Yeah.
Go Sunday through Thursday.
I am on board with the notion they're never going to do it. They're multiple like 20 episode seasons is the CW's way of life. So Daniel Uvaldo says, "Hey dudes, who was the real supervillain in Mad Men?"
I was going to say nicotine, but I think toxic masculinity Grant might have nailed it.
He might have. Yeah. Alcohol is possible.
Alcohol.
It's possible too.
So I stopped watching Mad Men midway through, not because I didn't love that show, but because I quit smoking while watching Mad Men, and I couldn't do it. I could not keep watching that show and not have a cigarette that month.
I stopped watching because I quit mowing. I started mowing lawns, and you couldn't. After you did that, there's the. Jonathan Michael has our last question. He says, "Hey dudes, I'm still waiting for Black Lightning to be part of the DC TV crossovers. With Crisis on Earth Infinite Earths being the next DC TV crossover, what other DC TV characters, Arrowverse or not, should make an appearance?"
Infinity Incorporated.
Yeah.
I want, because they are the Young Justice of the JSA instead of the JLA.
Yeah.
And so you could introduce a whole weird alternate Earth where they've already introduced JSA once.
Yep.
You can introduce the whole Justice Society and have Nuklon, Brainwave Jr., Star Spangled Kid putting them together, all of it.
Yeah, well, we're going to get the Stargirl show on DCU.
Yes.
So I want Green Lantern.
Like a real good Green
What
Lantern.
I want is Dig's alternate, because Dig is Green Lantern in some
they've
world.
already said that, basically.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a nod to Jon Stewart or if it was saying John Diggle is Green Lantern in this world, in that world. But I want that Green Lantern.
Yes.
That line got me.
Oh yeah, I was so thrilled when they just the nod.
Yeah, why aren't you wearing a ring? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, snap.
Yeah, I want Green Lantern. I would kind of like Wonder Woman to be represented in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Wonder Girl on Titans now, and I know that Wonder Woman was one of the big successful movies, but I would really like Wonder Woman to be Aquaman. I would like Aquaman, but I don't need Aquaman.
Yeah,
for the Crisis. Like, it's not as important.
I would love to see, I know Infinity Incorporated is the one that popped into my mind immediately.
Yeah.
They've done so many. Part of what I loved on the cartoon side from like Brave and the Bold and Justice League Unlimited was like the back corners of the DCU are so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like B'wana Beast. And just like goofiness like that.
Yeah.
And they've always done a pretty good job. Like they've had Atom Smasher on Flash.
Yep.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm, sort of. He looked the part.
Like I'd love to see the Atom.
Yeah.
Like Ray. Well, no, they've had Ray Palmer's Atom, but you could bring in more of that universe.
Well, if they did a Ryan Choi who was more like the traditional Atom.
Yeah, because they took Ray's role in Legends of Tomorrow does not. I like what they've done with Ray
I like
Palmer,
it too, but he's
not the Atom from the comics for me.
No, he's Shrinky Iron Man and little weird confidence issues
and so sweet, lovey, goofy.
Yeah,
and I don't think of Ray as like a dope.
Yeah,
and I think of Ray on Legends of Tomorrow as a dope.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to see Ambush Bug. I know they won't do it.
Yeah, I could see it.
But they could totally do Ambush Bug. Just have an absolute clusterfuck of a crossover after Crisis.
Yeah.
Whatever they do like the year after, it would be a Bat-Mite level weird.
All right. That's it for us this week. We hope you guys enjoyed our tour of the superhero universes. And until next time,
TV Dudes out!
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.